Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, Yesterday. So Yesterday is a movie about a musician. I always struggle with that word. Struggling. He wakes up in an alternate universe of some sort where he's the only person on Earth who remembers the Beatles. So I believe he starts playing all the Beatles songs and everybody thinks he's fantastic. Even though the music already exists, he starts making a buck off of it, or fame or fortune or whatever, because nobody else knows or ever heard them before. So, kind of interesting plot. I live with a lot of Beatles fans, so yeah, it should be interesting. 7.0 on IMDb. Over 31,000 people have seen it. So, the Lily James I've seen, she's like Cinderella, right? Yeah, I think she's Cinderella. Yeah. So. But anyway, I'll get into it a little bit, find out what it's really about, give you a better idea what the synopsis is, and then ultimately tell you what I think. It's an hour and 56 minutes long, so I'll get started. I'll be back in a little bit. Hey everybody, I'm going to do a quick check-in. We were watching Yesterday. We're at the 1:01:01 mark, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second mark. So I figured I gotta talk to y'all, tell you what's going on, but not much different than what we know already. He gets hit by a bus. That's how he gets into this alternate universe. But it's not like when I read alternate universe, I was thinking more sci-fi and stuff like that. No, he just wakes up from being hit by the bus and nobody knows who the Beatles are except for him. And he's really good, I think. I'm not a, I don't. Anyway, I think he sounds really good when he sings Yesterday, and it kind of made the hair stand up on my arms. I got chills. I thought it was that good, and it was pretty neat to see everybody's reaction because they have never heard it before. So of course he turns this into fame. It's still building. For at the beginning, nobody recognized it, that kind of thing. So, and then he starts to, win people over, whatever. Ed Sheeran's in the movie, so a lot of stuff that happens, and he's starting to build, a following in a sense, and becoming famous. He somewhat initially struggles with the fact that it's not really his songs, but I think it takes him over. And there's some good parts. I think there's a lot of good music, of course, and it's fun to watch. I'm enjoying it. I like him. I think he's very talented, his manager was Lily. What did I say? Her last name was Lily James, Cinderella. Friends since 14 years old, kind of thing, and she's the manager. And in the beginning, let me back up. He was struggling. He had his own music, and he was doing gigs, but nobody was following him, and he didn't have a real big fan base and stuff like that. He was about to give it up. Then he gets hit by the bus and becomes the Beatles, essentially. A lot of good stuff going on. Not much more to tell than that, but some of the things that I'm noticing throughout the movie, that there are these people kind of now watching him. So you get the sense that, do these people know who the Beatles are? And everybody else doesn't, but maybe a select few, and they're gonna out him. I don't know. But he's now at the cusp of becoming ultimately famous, and that's it. I just wanted to catch you up on the plot line there. I know that's kind of what the synopsis says. I really didn't tell you much more, except for he's very good, and it's an interesting film. I don't know. Let me get back to it and see what happens here, because I think it's going to start to get interesting. We've built up enough to understand what's going on, and let's see where it goes from here. Hopefully it ends well for him, but who knows? So I'll get back into it. I'll see you back at the credits and give you my final thoughts. Stick around.
This is the most wonderful and exciting thing in the world.
Real quick, I almost forgot. One of the cool things about it, after I turn it back on, turn it off, when he's finding out that the Beatles don't exist, so he goes online, because this is present day stuff, so he goes on the internet and starts, searching for them. Of course, they're not coming up. But then he searches for Oasis and Wonderwall. Oasis, nothing comes up. Now Oasis, Wonderwall, that doesn't come up because they were influenced by the Beatles, assumingly. They didn't say that, but that's what you got to guess, right? And then they start dropping things. So, like, what else doesn't exist because the Beatles never existed? So that's kind of neat, like what they're trying to do there. I don't know how true it is. I don't know all the connections, but you know, when you watch it, you'll see it. And maybe if you're a big connoisseur of the Beatles, you would catch the connection. I get it, but I don't know the actual connection. Anyway, I hope that made sense to you, because it's pretty interesting. I'll get back to it now, I promise, and then I'll see you at the credits. All right. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of yesterday, and I really enjoyed the film. Now, I don't know for those Beatles enthusiasts out there how they will feel, to be honest, because I do believe that the Himesh Patel is the main character, sang most of the songs, if not all of them. I mean, it was somebody else, it wasn't the Beatles, so you know, if it really was him, bravo to him. But how would Beatle enthusiasts feel about that? And all the connections and kind of stuff like that in the story there. So, but for me, I enjoy the Beatles. Not an enthusiast, but I liked it a lot. Like I said, when he sang yesterday, I got chills. And so that was interesting, and I think it's a very creative story. I mean, this is a really good idea in what they did here. You know, you're trying to figure out, okay, what's going to happen? I mean, and they throw in some stuff, and I don't want to ruin any of it, you know, but they throw in some things, like I told you about. They're throwing in the connections, like what happens if the Beatles aren't in the world, you know, and how does that impact everything that we know today? And I think that's neat how they play that. Again, I don't know all the connections. I bet you a lot of people do, but I found that fun and interesting. You know, I told you there's people looking at him. It seems like there's something going on there. Very interesting there. Very interesting on what happens with that. Again, it's hard. I don't want to ruin it for you, because I think it's worth watching no matter what. Whether you like the Beatles, or if you're a Beatles enthusiast or not. I mean, who doesn't like the Beatles? I think you'll really enjoy this film, because it's something new and it's neat. And I like the way they took it, because, like I said, you're always interested to see what's gonna happen at the end. How's this all gonna finish? And you can think of different ways yourself. And I don't even want to give you any of the thoughts that I have, because I want you to be thinking yourself and try and determine what you think is going to happen, and then let the story unfold in front of you. One thing I will tell you, and you see it coming up, there's like a little bit of a love interest going on. And there was a point in the movie when I was thinking about when I'm going to address you again at the end of this movie, I'm going to have to tell them how there's a little bit of a love story going on. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it kind of transforms into that. So the beginning, the whole first 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second part of the movie, and a little bit thereafter, was more about him and him, you know, becoming a rock pop star or whatever. And you know, his journey there, and then they start sprinkling in a little bit of you know, love interest kind of stuff, but then it flips on its side, and it's more about that piece of it than it is about the music anymore. So now it doesn't drown out the music side of it, but it overtakes it. So just so you know that going into it, not spoiling anything, because you don't know what's going to happen there. And you'll see what I mean when you're watching it, but it does get into a little bit more love story than it, and veers away a little bit from the music side of it. So there you go. I enjoyed it a lot. I like what they did, and there's so much more I want to tell you, but I think it's better for you to experience it. So what is this last couple of minutes that I'm giving you on this is go check it out. It's worth the watch. If you're hesitant for any reason, hopefully I convinced you now. And you would enjoy it as much as I did. So if you do, love to hear your comments. What did you think? Did you disagree? Is there something you didn't like about it? You know, give me your thoughts, and then hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, all that stuff. So I don't want to go on any further. You can go get to it. I will put a link in the comments below or in the description, and you can just click on it from there, rent it, and go watch it. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.